the first basic phrase that we learned in the MTC was the Book of Mormon, and I remember it was difficult for me sometimes because the way they pronounced their vowels, and I thought I was doing good, but my teacher told me I wasn't because we with the way we're used to speaking English, we pronounce vowels differently, and so like the Book of Mormon in sort of like a English accent, they would say like Ole Tusia Mamona. So, and the teacher was like, "No, that's awful. That's wrong." We're like, "Okay, we'll step it up." And so, we'd try saying "Na ole tu si ama mona," and then, hearing how we would listen to videos and we'd actually hear testimonies from people that have served there or natives from there, and then the way they say it is they have like a deeper voice. It would be the correct way they say is "Ole tu si ama mona," and so they it's almost like they open their mouths a little bit wider when they're pronouncing the A's and O's. Instead of mamona, it's mamona. Sort of like, because I remember when before I got my mission call, I would always Samoa was Samoa. And I remember giving my homecoming or my farewell talk and would say, I'm grateful to go to Samoa. Can't wait to serve in Samoa. And my uncles and dads are like, it's not Samoa, it's Samoa. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll work on that pronunciation. So, I mean, it's you can definitely tell when someone doesn't know the language, and that's probably where that bishop's wife knew I was pronouncing things wrong. Going back to the Church of Jesus Christ, they would say, like in an English accent, you'd kind of be like, Ole ekalesia a Yesu Keriso, where in Samoan you would be more pronouncive on those vowels. Ole ekalesia Yesu Keriso. So it's really cool to hear the differences. And in the Samoan language, something that I wasn't used to is that T's and K's are interchangeable. So you speak in T's when it's more of a respectful setting, as if you're giving a thank you speech, or if you're bearing testimony or speaking in church, they would use T's, such as like tato would be, which means we. They could interchange it with K's and say kako, which would mean we. And so I remember learning just T's in the MTC and then going out in Samoa where they would change it to K's. I had no idea what was going on. I was like, okay, they're speaking a whole different language that I did not learn anything in the MTC. And then, realizing that you just gotta, it's more of an ear. And then that's where the gift of tongues comes in there, is just understanding that the T's and K's are interchangeable. And it was really interesting to see that the T's are for respectful terms. I remember because every house that you go to in Samoa, when you leave the house, you give a thank you speech, blessing the family. It's called a whawhatai, which means thanks, and you say whawhatai because the T is being respectful. And, if you're using it like in slang terms, just thanking somebody, like you would use whawhakai. So it's interesting to see how the T's and K's, the K's definitely sound cooler than the T's, but the T's definitely make it sound more respectful when you're speaking that language.